Once more into the breach here at QuakeCon 2019, where it might feel like the end of all things with our championship match between k1llsen and k1llsen, but really it's the beginning of the first season of the Quake Pro League. But we have to kick things off somehow, and what better way than with this clash of titans. This is going to be absolutely insane. It's too much excitement for me to be contained with myself. Fortunately, I've got everybody here to help out. Catch up. You've been in here for the long haul. You ready for this?
100%. And what really excites me is that no matter what result we have in this grand finals, there's an amazing story on both ends. You know, k1llsen's been on the Quake Champions grind in particular for a very long time. I remember mere 2 QuakeCons ago, k1llsen had a result here that was definitely not up to the standards he had set for himself. And he pretty much just said to himself, right, I'm going to start playing by Quake Champions rules. The grind became more and more constant. He started doing better in online tournaments, and he started to place better in LAN as well. He's finally in a end of tournament stage. But I mean, let's look at k1llsen as well. k1llsen has been dying to get that #1 spot for a very long time.
Yeah, and this is potentially his opportunity. I mean, k1llsen, his legacy, amazing. k1llsen, first QuakeCon final ever, right? Like, you mentioned, and Jahar, like, no matter how the dominoes fall, this is incredible, and there's an amazing story on both sides. And, you know, that is pretty incredible. And also, if you would have told me, the 25-year-old version of me, you know, so many years ago, that, like, one day you would see these two players and you would potentially cover that, I would have told you were crazy. But damn, does it feel good that it is happening right now.
Stone Cold killers here that are going to be in the final. I wonder actually if there would be any emotions at all upon these victories, because QuakeCon is something that is in the heart of all Quakers. So I'm taking the title here at QuakeCon, it could be incredibly meaningful. And given how back and forth this has been between the two players over all the years, it's really going to be a mind game on many different levels.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think k1llsen really had some words of wisdom in his little interview there. There are so many players of such a high caliber in this tournament, which is part of why we see every LAN have slightly different results, just because we have so many people who, you know, we don't have somebody who's exponentially better than everybody else. The competition is incredibly fierce, and small differences in environment, in how you woke up today, and, you know, how much pulp you had in your orange juice that morning can define everything.
So look at experience, and it's no mystery to me that the two players that we have in our final set of the day have a lot of experience in time limit duel as well. The moment duel became strictly right, it's back to classics. It is time limit based, it's about constant control, it's about constant momentum. Lo and behold, here comes k1llsen, you know, in the final stage of the tournament. It doesn't surprise me, and I'm sure it doesn't surprise anyone else either.
No, I mean, we were talking about it backstage, that one of k1llsen's greatest strengths is his ability to play unbelievable mind games. In-game, out-of-game, before the matches, after the matches, he's always thinking about that. And I think that the layer of time allows him to play a mind game in the game that he does better than any other Quake player, I believe.
So we keep mentioning, but we're going to have to see how that game plays out. Mind games start as soon as they get on stage, and I think they're just about ready to make that happen. Let's see how much spring they have in their step. We got k1llsen and k1llsen. And of course, these guys are going to be shaking each other's hands, I'm sure, of course, yeah. All right, but of course, we've got k1llsen, we got k1llsen. k1llsen, the cheetah. I was actually asking him about that a little bit. About, you know, does it mean you can only sprint, like, you know, for a short distance? Or, I mean, considering the clip that we have all undoubtedly seen by now, is it more like the cheater?
Oh, no. I mean, look, k1llsen has miraculous aim. Now, we've talked about combat skill throughout the course of the day, and k1llsen is really, one of the players that's like at the top of that pyramid, where he's very, very methodical, very, very efficient is the word I heard you use earlier today, Zoo, where everything he does, he tends to do very well. When a fight happens, he's got the right weapon for the job pretty much every single time.
I think he's very positionally conservative as well, and he knows that he has to have that entry damage before he can justify going in for a fight, and I think he's one of the best people on the planet at calculating when that optimal decision is going to take place. And also he has got another nickname, k1llsen. It's definitely something that everybody should be looking out for, because these rails, I mean, people have definitely said it's greater than Tox in some instances of history.
And with Cooler, I mean, DJ, you can probably say more about Cooler than anybody else up here.
I mean, so I'm not gonna lie, Cooler has always been one of my favorite players, not only for what he demonstrates in game, but as we talked about, his ability to play the mind game, and he is one of my favorite Quake personalities, characters, whatever you want to call them. And so to have someone who is consistently seen success the way that he has is really exciting. And there's lots of stories I can't tell, and maybe we'll tell a few others as well. But yeah, this is a real treat to see this legacy match take place as the championship match here at QuakeCon 2019.
We can see as well, like the map picks that we've got in front of us, there is a whole host that we've got for us. It looks like straight away we're going to be getting into some light champions with Nyx and Anarchy. Molten Falls, we've been seeing a lot of that map lately. I seem to be seeing Molten Falls and especially Awoken pretty much constantly through these series. It's hard not to want to say this is a 5-mapper, but with the history they've got, the battles they've had over the last 10+ years, it's so difficult to tell who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, we can see that Cooler going in with Nyx instead. k1llsen has said, not only in the interview video, but he said it multiple times, that Nyx is probably his favorite champion to play. He's really, really efficient with her. Cooler knows a thing or two as well. When Quake Champions very first had its first World Championship 2 years ago, Cooler was one of the premier Nyx players, really forefronting that ghost walk to ambush style, really playing by the game's rules, as I said earlier on. But Cooler got his head around it much earlier than most.
Well, now that we've seen the picks, the bans, the champs, the maps, I've been put on the spot a few times here today, but now I get to turn the tables a little bit. Ketchup, how do you think this is going to throw down?
I've been asked predictions the first time, like every time, I swear. But not that it's a problem.
We planned it, by the way, backstage.
I've said it before, but I really think in this instance, this for me is the hardest to call of the day. It is, as QuakeCon, as you would expect, you have to be a champion of champions to win the final match here. So many players here have titles across different Quakes, and even as Quake Champions has progressed. Very, very hard. But I believe in k1llsen. I think in almost a poetic way, it would be nice to see k1llsen go 2 QuakeCons later, figuring out what he needed to do in Champions to become a champion of Quake Champions. My pick will be k1llsen, but I definitely think it's going to be 3-2.
I'm gonna steal something out of Zoot's book here, where he says, my heart really says k1llsen, right? Because that is a great story. To be in your first QuakeCon final and win it would be amazing. But at the same time, Cooler is someone who has consistently brought results. I think that, in terms of what this year could represent for Quake, that this is someone who has been chasing that dream for a very long time and, has it in his grasp. I'm gonna go Cooler.
All right, Sue.
This is so hard.
I feel terribly for you.
Yeah, right. Cooler did get the 2-0 in the group stage. I mean, we've been having this data to go on, and it's definitely not always reflected what we've been seeing in all of our prize matches.
That's true.
I think beforehand, I've got to go with what I was telling myself yesterday. I think k1llsen's going to take it in a really close series, but it's going to be an absolute nail biter, and yeah, nothing more. I'm lost for words now.
Well, this is the one time I would be totally fine being wrong, because as I mentioned, either result is a treat here, and is very worthy of this kickoff.
Well, let's go ahead and turn it from the theoretical to the practical to the real. Let's get into k1llsen and Cooler. And this is a little bit surreal. For the first time in my life, I get to introduce DJ Wheat and Zoot as our casters.
Thank you. Zoot, I hope that casting Quake is a little like riding a bike.
I think so. You're a natural.
But, if it's okay, I just want to take a moment, and I apologize if I get emotional here, but I recently got inducted into the Esports Hall of Fame. And thank you. But that would have never happened without Quake. And so really that award goes to id Software and John Carmack and every player and every person that loaded up Shoutcast and every person that made OSP and it's there because I wouldn't be here without Quake. And so thank you. This is an honor.
Let's do this, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this, DJ. We have got players ready to get into game, so I think we need to jump over to our versus video.
Let's do it. I mean, as a championship matchup, you know, we said Rafa Razy would be good at, but this one, there are so many layers to this. I'm so excited for us to kick off here.
I mean, it looks like the game is getting started at the moment. We have got k1llsen and k1llsen in the server. k1llsen on the Anarchy. Gotta watch out for the next, already climbing above. 15 points of health. Which way is he gonna guess? Because it looks like we might have first blood in just a moment.
Yeah, that was not how k1llsen really wanted to start things off.
Oh.
And there's a big rail coming in from k1llsen. Caught just a pixel of him, and that was enough to get that first frag up on the board, and that was within the first 30 seconds. If I was k1llsen, I imagine the smile on my face, because that is a fantastic way to start this best of 5.
You've got the Nyx as well. You can play a slow game if you need to, but again, versus the Anarchy, it's a really thin line between the safety and danger. k1llsen's now going to back off, and although k1llsen's down, look at the stack all of a sudden he's accumulated. Yeah. k1llsen's got to get out of here.
And I mean, that's why a Quake, especially when we've gone now to the time limit format, there's a beautiful rail from k1llsen. To tie things up 1-to-1 on the board. No conversion going to be there for him, but we'll see what he does. You know, we mentioned earlier, this game is not over until that clock says 10 minutes and you hear the buzzer. And k1llsen knows that, and k1llsen knows that. And here we go, another LG exchange here in the middle. A missed rail coming out by k1llsen, and he's just going to use that opportunity to disengage and set up once again. He needs to stack up. Neither of these guys looking like they're super in shape for a fight.
Yeah, k1llsen though, without any of that light armor that he can get near Mega. He can easily step back, but he's going to find that there's someone there already holding the position. This light should spawn in a second, and he's probably fairly thankful that k1llsen didn't decide to push onto him. If k1llsen had maybe that light armor timing, he probably would have gone for that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he had a general idea of where k1llsen was, but you're right. The one thing that you don't want to do is take fights that, you know, are going to catch yourself by surprise. Great rail from k1llsen coming off of that jump pad, and I think those little hunt and pecks is exactly what he needs to just try to regain control. You can see, big exchange right here, and it was a self-rocket that put him down low enough for k1llsen to be able to pick that one up, and that makes it 2-to-1 for k1llsen.
k1llsen with the aggressive Nyx Ghost Walk plays. That's a really brave move to make, because if it doesn't pan out, you're in a lot of trouble. So k1llsen's ready to be aggressive, ready to land some more rockets, and he's going to increase that lead.
Yeah, a quick rain of rockets coming down from the mid-tier, and that's going to be enough for that third frag. And this is a great position for a player to be at this point. We had another LG exchange. k1llsen, I feel like there was a brief moment of hesitation there. And I mean, he was low. The chances of k1llsen getting that kill were high. But that's something you don't normally see from k1llsen.
No, indeed. He's usually a little bit more reserved. He's the one who's got some of the top defensive games in the business. But now playing Anarchy, it does tempt you to be a little more aggressive with that mobility. Yeah. But he's got to be more careful on that, because k1llsen is hitting so many shots at the moment, hitting so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, right now, 3 frags down. k1llsen needs to find a place to stack. We talked about trying to hit some of those, hit some of those chip shots there, as he's done once again with the rail. But he's, looking for the opportunity to bring it back so he can start to, try to tie this game back up. But there's the Ghost Walk, and there will be a disengage, and k1llsen just going to hang back. And he's playing very smart, and I think, very calculated at this point.
Cooler was worried for a second. He had to use his injection in order to get his health up because he was low. But we've got to fight over at the mega health. k1llsen's got to back off a little bit. He's not quite railable, but he's to be critically low if he gets hit by that. Cooler, after being in trouble at the heavy, all of a sudden the game was flipped on its head from even 15 seconds ago.
Yeah, and I saw that jump. Cooler was still looking for that rail. It wasn't going to happen, but you know, every opportunity is going to be one they're going to look at taking. That one rail could have completely changed everything had it hit, but now we've got k1llsen who's on the run there. The light spawns, fires a rocket. That one barely misses, but a super fantastic rail coming out from k1llsen on the defensive. Another one, and that's what's going to make it probably not only difficult for Cooler, but it's frustrating,
yeah,
right?
It's frustrating because now he can't actually push in as easily.
Right.
He had so many resources before, now he's got to go back to the grind, get the control, make sure this heavy is clean, and if he takes damage around the corner, now look at that combo.
Beautiful rocket rail combo, and Ghostwalk is up. Like, he is sitting in a very, very good position right now. He is dictating where Cooler has to go on the map and saying, no, you own this part, but I'm going to own this other 70%. And that's exactly what he wants to do.
And he wants to keep out for the rest of the game. So Cooler's got to play those mind games, got to play the puzzle that is Quake and try and find his way in. It's another one, though. These aggressive Ghost Walk plays are just unbelievable. If it doesn't work out, you've got nowhere to go. I'm amazed that k1llsen is showing us his courage.
I mean, when you've got the frag advantage, I think that, you know, frankly, you should be making those types of moves. Another fantastic rail is he's just sitting on position. He's going to pull out his LG, try to wrap it up. Can't finish that one off. Cooler wasn't within death range anyway, but I mean, you know, k1llsen, I think, has the room, has a little bit of room to just be able to be a little riskier. That's not what Cooler wants to do. There's the Ghost Walk escape, and he'll get out of there A-okay.
Gets the Ghost Walk, but he wanted to pick up the heavy armor just before using it, so he gives Cooler just a couple of extra resources. And these are the small differences that can help Cooler make the comeback that he's looking for. Now he's got the mega health. He's got a stack advantage. k1llsen's got no Ghost Walk. If there's a time for Cooler to get a frag, it's pretty much now, even with that rail.
And every single time that we see you know, Cooler getting that point where it's like, okay, now I can go in. And k1llsen always manages to hit that one rail. Here we have a fight near the jump pad. k1llsen says, I want none of it. Gets out of there with the Ghost Walk, and will find a better position and which to attack. There's a nice rail from Cooler trying to bring it back, but he doesn't really have the follow-up. Even with Ghost Walk down, that would have been a perfect opportunity, but just wasn't in a position to do so.
He's managed to at least get the mega without taking damage, and I mean, you've been spot on. k1llsen's always got these crazy rockets. As soon as Cooler's trying to hatch any kind of plan, he cannot catch a break. It's still 2 seconds till here. This is really dangerous for k1llsen.
It is, and Cooler got the better of that exchange there. We're going to see some health pickups from k1llsen. Waiting for Cooler to come in. He's going to Ghost Walk immediately to get out of there. Cooler's on him, though. Will back off for a moment, but I mean, k1llsen's playing a super smart game. And when you have that frag lead, and when there's only 3 minutes left, this is how I think he should be playing it out.
Yeah, completely. He's really hoping he can get that Ghost Walk up as soon as possible. There's a whole bunch of hourglasses here. There's a couple over the other side of the map. But with the mega health up in 10 seconds, I wonder if he wants to kind of create a barrier between the item and Cooler. Cooler's gone the other way, so this could not work out the way he intended.
Yeah, Cooler did grab that that heavy, and now the mega is up. Cooler will grab it. He now is probably the most stacked that he's been in this matchup.
Yeah.
And this is where k1llsen finds those miracle rails to put him back in his place. But this time might be the first time that a Cooler got both power-ups and now has a little bit more map control than he's had in the first 7 minutes.
While Cooler's trying to look for the kill, he's been caught off guard, and that's going to be k1llsen slipping away with that heavy armor. Very sneaky play, but incredibly intelligent from k1llsen.
Now he'll set up, potentially look for a grab on the mega, and it is there. He's going to LG Cooler almost immediately. It looks like he has got this Cooler very, very low, and there it is. The rail to make it 6-1 with 2 minutes left on the clock.
I think now he's going to try and make this a formality. Can he play that defensive game? We started to see that k1llsen's happy to leave the items to Cooler, just to set up some traps later on, but now I think he's going to start doing it in order to just be defensive and slow the game down to a halt.
Yeah, that was a great bait there at the heavy. as well, and Cooler knew something was up if you saw that first rocket mix, because Cooler just danced around it. And now LG right in the face, but once again, Ghostwalk being a good choice here on Molten Falls for exactly that reason. And you know, you have to start thinking about the point that with 5 frags, there is another one for Cooler, but with about 1:10 seconds left, can you make up the 4 frag difference? I think that's going to be pretty tough.
It's going to be really tough, but there's a window of opportunity now for Cooler to pick up maybe 2 kills while this Ghost Walk is on cooldown. That's why it's so dangerous for k1llsen to have missed out on that frag. As we say, if there's still time left, anything is possible.
Nice bounce rocket, couldn't follow up with the mid-air. Real close though, we've been seeing a lot of those today. Rail through the telly, but it is not gonna hit. And k1llsen once again just on point with his rockets. And I'd have to say in terms of just like who is looking really fantastic here on Molten Falls, obviously with the frag lead you can tell, but k1llsen is playing a remarkable series right now.
It's just in the way that he's executed on the fight as well. He's making Cooler look more mediocre than he is. And we're going to get Cooler picking up a frag. It's got 20 seconds. Is there anything that he can get done for this? This is going to have to be borderline miraculous. And k1llsen is still getting in his way, hitting those rails, slowing him down at the end of the game.
Yep, I think you just play it out and kind of mentally start preparing yourself for the next game. You know, 5-game series, a best of 3. You know, you have to pace yourself, especially 2 championship caliber players like this. And k1llsen will take game number 1 here on Molten Falls, 6-3.
I think it's all about those rails, those rockets that he was landing. Just as Cooler felt comfortable with the control he was building up, he was immediately shut down and wasting 30 seconds at a time. It was pretty much flawless from k1llsen in the first 6 minutes.
Yeah. Now, you know, as I just mentioned, in a best of 5, you just have to like mentally reset, right? We talk a lot about how when a best of 5 happens and both players split maps, you know, it basically becomes a best of 1, right? So, but you always are just kind of like playing the game you need to play. When it gets to match point, it gets a little bit scary and dirty, but you know, here's our highlights from the matchup. What you're gonna see here, in my opinion, is just some fantastic predictive rockets from k1llsen, but also, again, we talked about those you know, I would just say establishing rails, right?
Yes.
Just rails that let you maintain map control, rails that make Cooler, in this case, do things that he doesn't necessarily want to do, but what he has to do in order to try to take it.
And I think those Ghost Walk attacks as well, he took a gamble with those. It paid off every single time, high risk, high reward, and k1llsen reaping the benefits here in map 1.
I mean, do you think that as, you know, as we you know, if the players improve and evolve and the meta constantly changes, right? Like seeing things like the orb being used in unique ways, flame being used in like it makes me excited about the possibilities as these players find more than aim, more than map control. Now another way to kind of, you know, dominate the competition.
And you've always got to be able to use your imagination as a player to understand what kind of situations can the player conjure with the champion that they're playing against.
Right.
Obviously, all the grind, all the practice, and again, a huge shout out to the amount of effort these guys put into their practice. Out of everyone in this scene, these guys know how to grind, know how to prepare for championship matches like this.
Yep. And Awoken is going to be the next matchup. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, fight! We're in this game. And k1llsen up 1 game. That puts him in a real comfortable spot here, but opening up right away. Orb does come out. It's not going to hit. k1llsen definitely got the best of that one. Coming in from the top with the rocket. There it is. The first frag in 15 seconds goes to k1llsen.
k1llsen is looking hot. Even just the starting machine gun damage is just a ludicrous amount of damage from him. Cooler is trying to be aggressive, trying to show his own courage, but it's just not working for him at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to imagine that is how Cooler wants to play, but on a map like this, and your ability to play defensively with the rocket launcher, with the ray, etc., you know, it is in direct conflict with sort of Cooler's playstyle.
He should be the one trying to slow it down again. The one thing that I've been so impressive about Cooler over the years is how he plays the player. It's all about the game. And look at that. He gets caught up by k1llsen looking on top of him. Cooler needs to maybe reflect a little bit, slow down, and try and readapt to what k1llsen's trying to do.
Yeah. We're going to see the orb come out. Cooler's coming in from the side. LG's come out. Cooler does have the health advantage here, but we're going to see k1llsen, who has had a great game of staying away, right? He knows when he needs to disengage from a matchup. And frankly, we just haven't seen the control from Cooler to see how he's going to handle those situations.
Well, he's managed to get himself the heavy. He lands an amazing rocket. Now Cooler's got some brilliant control.
Yep.
He has to work with this. He's got to capitalize on everything. The Mega Health's going to be up in 5 seconds. Cooler cannot let go of that. It's going to be very interesting to see how k1llsen comes back into the game when he's as out of control as he is.
Yeah, I mean, has the opportunity to control both, but here we go. Nice rail from Cooler, going to be tying it up at 1 minute and 49 seconds. Looking for that conversion frag off the spawn, going to send the orb out, and he is fully stacked once again. And now, finally, he is the hunter for the first time in this series. Some great defensive rockets once again, and that is where k1llsen is really shining.
Yeah, he's forward himself a little bit of time, but he still wants to aggress onto this Mega Health. It's up in a second. Somehow k1llsen gets that frag. Cooler looked like he was feeling safe and comfortable, but k1llsen still wants to accelerate that game.
Yeah, I mean, rockets have been the story. There's another direct rocket from k1llsen, and Cooler has just been, he's gotten caught by those several times in this particular matchup. 3-1 now, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Going through the teleporter LG matchup once again, and it will be another kill for k1llsen. He is looking on fire.
I mean, he's just showing how much he wants it at the moment, how much he wants to lift up that belt. All the trials and tribulations to get yourself over here.
Yeah.
Showing such a phenomenal performance on the final stage. The LG once again, he's locking it down 5-1, finds the rail off the spawn. This is so painful in just the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these fights that have been taken, you know, and that one that Mega was picked up in the middle of the battle, and, you know, like, had some of these power-ups not been here in these situations, Cooler would be winning, but it is k1llsen who's kind of been dominating the map, and as he double jumps across a beautiful rocket, as he grabs that light as well, 6-1 now in this matchup.
k1llsen's got to read. When someone just knows what you're doing, I feel like k1llsen has every idea. Cooler's having trouble, he's walking along, he's not looking over at the connected position, he's got 25 points of health. This is through the window, not quite.
Yeah, not quite. Heavy's picked up by k1llsen. He's got that 5 frag lead. There's still a lot of time left in this particular matchup. Man, great rail once again. Coming up by k1llsen. Going to throw out some Tri-Bolt bursts as well. And there is the Mega for, once again, complete control of this map. And it is just incredibly rare to see Cooler kind of playing from behind.
Well, again, it's that control play that you need to get a hold of. Now, rail, Cooler wants to go back now for the heavy armor. He does land a really good rail shot. He gets the armor, but he's still vulnerable. He doesn't have the orb to jump away, but manages to find that 25 health bubble and is going to go leap towards the Mega Health. There could be a chance for Cooler, and that one rail through the teleporter is what built it. Yeah,
k1llsen going to take a small risk there, grab that light, and that puts him in a much better position.
Oh my God.
About to hit that halfway point. And these little peak rails, you know, man, I'll tell you what, after QuakeCon 2017, k1llsen was like, I am gonna dominate this game.
Yeah.
Like, I am gonna be the player that I know I can be. And I'll tell you what, it is pretty amazing to see him play that out right here as he grabs another one, making it 7-1 as we are about to hit the halfway point in this matchup. And like, the pressure has to be getting heavier and heavier on Anton.
Could you expect this? Did you expect this, shall I say?
No, and
this is unreal.
It is, and I think you kind of said it, is that, like, I think Cooler wants to play aggressive game. I don't think k1llsen's letting him, and it's sort of playing right into his hands once again, taking a battle, and is not going to be able to pull that one off. You know, so great LG work, finishing up with the rocket, and once again he's back up 100-100. And ready to find that conversion frag again.
Well, k1llsen has shown us how good his game is so far, but you know what? It's about closing the game, closing the maps, closing the tournament. Can he keep this level up for the remainder of this championship match? Because Cooler's someone who's never going to give up. He's always going to go for it. Goes to the orb, hits
there it is.
Midair.
And that's
what he needs.
That is exactly it. Like, you know, Cooler could be down 15-0. And he's not gonna, you know, he's not gonna GG you. He's gonna keep playing until, you know, he knows it's done. And I think that persistence is what has made him a strong player over his, you know, 15+ year career in Quake.
A bad rocket from k1llsen on the teleporter exit. Cooler's got to think about that heavy, but he knows that k1llsen is trying to move around and still pick up some information near that portal. Well, there it is, overstack, and k1llsen is always in that position to punish.
I mean, it's like, is he actually getting power-ups? Because the moment that he does, there is a rail that he is swallowing, and those slugs do not taste good.
Wow.
There's another rail, this time from Cooler's side, and that's what he needs to be hitting. He needs to be hitting 10 times more of those if he can.
Yeah, these are great shots as well. Rocket jump up, this is a brilliant move from him. He's going to chase that one down. Cooler's in the game,
That was the aggression that we expect to see. There's going to be a rail off the spawn and another one to convert that frag, 8-4. And suddenly, Cooler puts himself back into the game. He's got to regain a stack, as he does right there. k1llsen did get the light as well. But this is why you also cannot just be like, oh, I've got a 7-frag lead and there's 4 minutes left. This is, you know, we got this, no problem.
I mean, it's a good lead, but they barely hit the halfway point at that stage. Look at this, look at, again, aggressive attack from Cooler. Can he close it out?
I think he really wanted to, but you know what? That was the first time I've seen him be really reserved in this matchup. I even think he might have been able to get it, but it's probably the smarter thing to do. You don't want that lead to get any further, and k1llsen brings it back to his side, 9-4.
To put some end to this chaos that Cooler's brought to the match. He's got to watch out going through elbow. Mega's now going to be taken. He has to respect what Cooler's done there. He might have to just back up and follow Cooler's lead.
It is the king versus the cheetah, but the cheetah is the one who seems to be doing the hunting today. We're about to hit the 8-minute mark. 2-minute warning is coming out, and Cooler with a triple stack of rockets, but they will exchange frag, and that means that we just kind of like start anew here. We're going to see heavy picked up by k1llsen. Cooler getting the light, and let's see, here comes the mega, and k1llsen comes out on top after that frag exchange.
Yeah, k1llsen's definitely not unhappy about a mutual frag.
Yeah.
Definitely beats just making that lead being lost.
Might actually be a moment to breathe, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, you know,
you've got to go and collect the weapons a little bit. You want to establish some kind of control on the map, and now Cooler is running out of time. Less than a minute and a half. He's got to start taking those risks that you really don't want to be taking earlier on in the game. And it's those sort of 10%ers, 20%ers that can get you that comeback, but the chances are so low.
I mean, I might even argue where that is, you know, where Cooler's aggressive really, really can't shine. When you know, like, I have nothing to lose by being aggressive, and then it works out for you. That's a phenomenal feeling. But 5 frags, 1 minute, that's going to be, you know, next to impossible here. Cooler did land that rail. k1llsen now armorless, heading over to light. It lands another nice defensive rocket. Cooler misses that rail on the follow-up. And I don't know if Cooler's going to be able to put another one on the scoreboard here. He might already be thinking about, you know, blood run.
It's unreal, these rails from k1llsen. 40 seconds to go. Time is ticking away, and Cooler is running out of chances. It looks like he's going around with the gauntlet at the moment. I think he feels like his back is against the wall now.
Yep, 30 seconds left on this clock, and k1llsen looks like he's going to take his second game here, which would just be an astounding victory if he were to take this 3-0. But, you know, we got Blood Run coming up next, and who knows what could happen there. In our final moments of this game here, though, as always, the player is going to be playing it out here as we go into the final seconds, and k1llsen is going to be picking up the second matchup here in this final.
Unbelievable. Such strong play from k1llsen. He's deserving all of it right now. That means he's taken his own map, he's taken Cooler's map, and now we are going to be moving over to Blood Run. This is what Base's father, I think he said in his intro. I don't know if it's Cooler's father as well. It's close family for sure, because Cooler was basically born on that map.
I honestly feel, you know, some of my most memorable Cooler games are on ZTN 31. And, you know, we've mentioned also some of the mind games, and honestly, like, maybe the mind games being played against Cooler today, but I've seen him do some incredible things. Players have reported by saying it is so frustrating to play him on that map. Now, this is, you know, this is during the Quake 3 days, some of the Quake 4 days, but I think that those skills do translate pretty well here over to this version. And, you know, if he wants to hold on to that belt, if he wants his name on that belt, he's got to start the winning parade right here, and Blood Run's a great way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do get to see some of the highlights. Is that the double kill? No, not quite over at the portal on this occasion, but it was a brilliant read from him that we had here. You know, I'm not counting out Cooler, though.
Oh, no.
He's absolutely one of the strongest players, sort of mentally, in terms of experience, and in terms of LAN presence. He needs to work his way back into it.
Yeah, he does, as we see the final moments. There were some great kills there. Kills like, damn, all right, on that midair. You know, so both players playing good. And we talked a little bit earlier about it, because, you know, it comes down to, like, does one of these players want it more? You know, and I think that's a hard thing to argue.
Right?
Yeah, hard question to answer. But I do think k1llsen kind of making this declaration after the first major, you know, Quake Champions tournament at QuakeCon a few years ago, and then putting the time and the effort into doing that, you know, getting the results you got out of the group stage, you know, this is kind of, that's his dream, right?
Yeah.
Like being right here in that seat and potentially being 2-0, you know.
He's so passionate about it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see him with his results at other lands, if he's losing early on in the tournament, you can see how down he gets from that. But you can see his elation when he's winning. He's always someone who you can see his emotions so clearly on camera.
Yep. And here we go. It is going to be Blood Run, and k1llsen is going to be DK. And we got Visor for Cooler. And I think it's pretty interesting to see that Visor on Cooler. I would never want to have Cooler know where I'm at, considering that he probably already knows. But here we go. First exchange happens right away. k1llsen gonna fall down, try to hit that rail. It doesn't happen, but he still follows up with the kill. And once again, for the third game in a row, k1llsen's on the board first.
And it's early on in the game as well. This isn't some hard-fought 3 minutes. It's Cooler really pushing out aggressively and getting punished hard for it. It's kind of unlike Cooler. I feel like he's got a read on k1llsen that might be just slightly incorrect at the moment. Well, LG's good, though.
Yeah, and those direct rockets for k1llsen have just been bad news for Cooler all day long. k1llsen finds himself without armor, but having that one frag on the board on Blood Run is a big advantage. Here we go, chasing with that LG, and he somehow manages to get away, picks up the 225s, back up to 100, and we kind of reset as Mega's coming up. And he'll be grabbed by k1llsen.
Just these insane defensive rockets again. Now he's converted it into some control. There's a heavy up in a moment, and Cooler's left thinking, oh, I don't get anything.
Yeah, those defensive rockets, like we see defensive rockets all the time, right? But to see 100 damage direct defensive rockets, you know, I've seen 100. Yeah, exactly. I've seen 100 pop up on k1llsen's screen so many times just in this series and throughout the weekend. It's pretty impressive. Got to be happy about those.
Oh God, the timing there he's got on it. He's got such a read. I don't think I've seen k1llsen playing like this before, and I've seen a lot of games from him. He is peaking at the moment in this tournament, and what a time to be doing that.
And here we go. We might have a meetup right here in the corner. They do. They exchange some rockets. Gonna have a second volley coming out, and once again we'll have k1llsen just. Oh my God. Making his way over the Mega, spots Cooler near the teleporter and a rail to put himself up at 2-0. But Cooler's gonna chase, getting aggro. Unfortunately for Cooler, that Mega's picked up by k1llsen. He's back down to 48, but my God, another rail to make it 3-0.
I mean, we've got two fairly senior players right here, but k1llsen showing that his reactions are not slowed down at all. Really, really unreal rails from him.
Yeah, Heavy is up. k1llsen looking for an opportunity there. He does hit, but k1llsen now in trouble, down to 42 points of health. I think he's probably practiced running here on Blood Run, so I'd expect him to see this, or to be able to escape and to be able to chase down. But right now, 3 up. We're just 2 minutes and 48 seconds into this game. There's still so much time, but you really want to have the frag advantage on a map like this, because we saw what can happen.
Yeah, and really with a 3 frag advantage, even though there's 7 minutes left, k1llsen can absolutely start thinking about how to hold a perfect defensive game. Make sure you're prodding maybe a rail every 30 seconds between the major items, and then you can be okay with 100 health and 50 to 100 armor as long as you can anticipate your opponent coming towards you.
Yeah, we're going to have k1llsen just kind of slowing things down a little bit, and he can. It's his game to dictate. Holding on to at least one of those power-ups. He's going to go on through to the teleporter, trying to get, I think, some position in behind Cooler, as we're going to have heavy up right now. Cooler waiting for it, knows that he's potentially there. Who's going to go for it? k1llsen looks like he's setting up for it. Oh,
Cooler rocket jumps at this stage.
That's surprising to see that miss. He's going to go for it anyway. LG locked coming out from k1llsen, and another rocket straight down the throat of Cooler, making it 4-0.
And it just keeps on happening. k1llsen is finding damage that Cooler cannot deal with at all. The tri-bolt again, timed to perfection. Cooler's going to go over to the rocket room, and he's going to start topping up on some other weapons. That's part of the trifecta. But he's trying to hold this central area. There's going to be the heavy armor respawning. He's still got chances in this. He's got to keep working hard. Low HP for k1llsen, but he's still pressuring and making these risks to jump across to the big items.
Oh, thinking for sure he had an opportunity, and he did. Didn't even get a rocket off before he was held aloft in the air with that LG. 5-0, and I'm shocked.
Yeah.
k1llsen is playing. Maybe he's the God Slayer. I don't know.
It could well be. And remember, Cooler is the one who was in the lead at the end of the group stages.
Yeah.
He beat k1llsen 2-0 then. But this is the championship match. You've got to bring that skill you brought in the last 3 days. You've got to bring it back here.
And so far, we haven't really seen it. I mean, we've seen glimpses of Cooler. But we have not seen the Cooler that we know and love and know that he is capable of being. 5-0 now. Again, the match isn't over. We're halfway through, but k1llsen, how amazing of a story would that be to not only be in your first QuakeCon finals, but to potentially shut out your opponent in the championship match for your name on that belt.
And against Cooler, Cooler's got 5 wins against k1llsen in Quake Champions, and k1llsen's only got 4 in Quake Live. It was 4-1 in favor of Cooler. And now k1llsen is coming back and showing that he's not afraid whatsoever, not going to let history repeat itself on any level. This is, again, I cannot emphasize how amazing k1llsen is playing at the moment.
The rail exchange that we just saw there, the confidence that he has. I mean, like, Cooler is not someone that you would right? You necessarily want to dance in front of because he can't hit those rails. But I would say that k1llsen's confidence level, especially just in this series, is so incredibly high. It's allowing him to be in those positions, but honestly, because he's hitting his shots, it's working out for him.
Is Cooler going to chase through a teleporter? He's going to go for it. Managed to dodge one rocket, not the follow-up. k1llsen will back away, and Cooler has to anyway because he's left with sub 70 HP. And again, k1llsen's buying himself that time on the clock and inching closer to that 10-minute mark, which, I mean, each second's got to feel like a day.
Yeah, but even with that 5 frags, you do have to be thinking that every moment, actually 6 frags, that every single moment could present a mistake, and that's when the tables can turn. So you still have to be aspiring to play the most perfect game, even when you have that 6 frag difference with almost about 3 minutes left on the clock.
Cooler's weak. He can't get railed at the moment. k1llsen's holding on to his shot. He doesn't want to miss it in case more damage returns his way. Rocket jump up. Misses the rocket. Domination here from k1llsen. He is yet to be fragged on Blood Run.
He is putting on a clinic right now, dude. I mean, this is not necessarily how I expected this game to go.
To me, I feel like this is an evolution in k1llsen's gameplay. This is someone who's used to struggle a lot in closing out important matches, in closing out tournaments, and right now, I mean, it's making it look like a formality.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know if k1llsen could taste it right now, but that's probably victory. That is that taste in his mouth right now. 9-0 though, incredibly hard to make up that frag difference on a map like Blood Run.
Everything's been working for k1llsen, and you know what? I wonder what's happened to Cooler. I'm trying to figure out how to break down the actions that he's made. It's been over-aggressive. k1llsen's a very strong defensive player. It feels like he's bought some strategies. I don't know how to beat Crazy or someone and trying to apply it to k1llsen.
Cooler almost getting that frag right there, chasing through, not going to go through that teleporter. And you know, I almost have to feel like it comes down to adaptability, right? We saw in the early games Cooler saying, I'm gonna try to dictate, I'm gonna go aggressive. And didn't really adjust when that didn't work out. And that might actually be where, you know, the biggest downfall is right now for Cooler. It's hard to say, but based off of what I've seen him doing his play, like that's kind of what it appears to be.
I mean, I think the community won't necessarily be surprised that k1llsen win, but I think they're going to be surprised in the fashion that he's won, because it's a minute to go and you're looking at a miracle.
You are. We've seen miracles before in Quake, but this one, this would turn into a Disney movie if that happened, and I don't think that's gonna. 9-1 now, less than a minute left, and ladies and gentlemen, he competed here in the first Quake Champions tournament in 2017, didn't perform up to what he wanted to, his own standard, and after that tournament was heard saying by many, I am going to be the best in this game, and here he is 2 years later. And Zoot, I asked you the question, has he proven it? Is that what he is showing us right now?
I mean, I'm just thinking now, is it the beginning of an era? That's all I'm thinking. Is this something that's going to be a theme throughout the rest of the Quake Pro League and all the seasons we've got to come?
Well, we can certainly say one thing, is that belt is going to be labeled with k1llsen. Dude, give me a hug. That was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, k1llsen. Dude, your first QuakeCon final, you won in a convincing fashion, 3-0. You said 2 years ago after that tournament, I remember out there saying, I am gonna be someone in this game. And you were already someone, but you did it. You have done it here on the stage. You are obviously emotional for all the right reasons right now, but k1llsen, what does that mean to you to put your mind to something, say, I am gonna do this, and then here you are accomplishing that?
I mean, this is pretty much the crown everyone wants to have once in his career at least. And yeah, you know, being here, getting started into the tournament, still having a little bit of a sick, I didn't know, like, can I really do this? Like, all the pressure I also put on myself, because I do want to go far, right? And yeah, you know, making it happen, being here in the grand final already, like, being a big dream actually. And yeah, been here 4 times overall, and now I made it happen. And yeah, winning this tournament, it's, you know, what can I say?
I have to ask, because there's not a whole lot of people that could say I 3-0'd Cooler in a finals. Did that surprise you?
Actually, I did, yeah. I felt like it should have gone like more close, but for some reason it felt like he didn't felt as comfortable as he wanted to be. But I also adjusted my game a little bit. I remembered the game we had in the ranking, and yeah, adapted to it a little more. Been thinking about what can I do better, and yeah, it paid off in the end, and here we are.
This is the kickoff, right? The Quake Pro League Season 1 kickoff, and that means that we've got a whole year of Quake to look forward to. But Zoot asked, and I like it, I want to ask you, he said, is this the beginning of an era, right? Is this the beginning of k1llsen's name being up there as a Quake champion.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I always told my chat, give me your focus. They gave me focus. We made it. You know, just keep giving me your focus, and we can make it far for sure. And I'm gonna keep, you know, trying my best, giving my best, you know, how much I can, and, you know, get into the competitions.
Well, we have one little order of business, sir, and that is to give you this amazing Quake Pro League. You will be the first name engraved on this belt and one step closer to potentially holding it at QuakeCon 2020, but you deserved it. k1llsen, this is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, k1llsen! Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Congratulations,
Wow.
k1llsen, once again. I think it's fair to say that k1llsen has hacked into Cooler's brain.
You know,
And pulled that off.
I mean,
3-0. How could that have happened?
pulling something from the fighting game community, like that was downloaded right there. Downloaded and processed and executed. You know, even hearing k1llsen say, yeah, that surprised me. And you know, it goes to show just you know, what it takes to get to this spot, but also what it takes to close, to be the closer.
Yeah, and you can see how much it means to him as well. The amount of work he has put in over all, not just for this tournament, but for all the tournaments he's ever attended. And I really hope for his sake it's the beginning of an era, because there's no more deserving champion right now. k1llsen has been absolutely unbelievably strong this tournament.
Can we petition to have his nickname changed from the Cheetah to the Closer? Because I think kicking off with a victory, I'm
There's a process.
there is, yeah. What did you guys think? I mean,
Ketchup.
I mean,
unbelievable.
look, at the end of the day, we've been watching k1llsen with like an eagle eye since Quake Champions first had its competitive push. You know, we always have to go back to a couple of years ago where he was his own biggest critic. But the important thing is that he knew what he had to do to ascend. And by God, he ascended. Like, it's always great to see a player that is so hungry for success finally achieve success. You could see how much it meant to him, you know, genuine tears down the guy's face. And every single drop of that was earned.
We see that from time to time at the end of a LAN tournament. We saw it at PGL. We're seeing it here. QuakeCon is usually an incredibly tense event just because there's the accolades, there's the bragging rights. QuakeCon has been running for decades now. And we're still here kicking ass, taking names, and quaking on. And this is the beginning of the Quake Pro League. k1llsen has the belt today, but as we saw from everything this weekend, it is going to be incredibly hard to hold on to it.
Yeah.
We've got a whole year long of weekly matches, ranking changes. We've got LAN events where we will see both halves of the planet come together once again in an event like this, and it will be this stressful time and time again.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not you know, jump over the discussion of, you know, Cooler, right? Like we've seen him suffer great losses before, and we've seen him come back more powerful, more focused, more dedicated than ever before. And I have to imagine that from what I know from Cooler, that is an unsatisfactory result. And I would expect that over the course of the next year, we're going to see him turn on the heat and the beast is going to come out.
Be an interesting level of analysis to find out actually what happened to him in that game.
Right.
Why couldn't he overcome what k1llsen was doing? We saw how incredibly he played in the first 3 days, and I think there's going to be some VOD analysis, not just by the players, but by everybody to work out why did Cooler not really meet par for the course, I think, for what we'd expect from him.
Yeah.
But I mean, a huge part was that k1llsen, from the starting line up until the very finish line, he found Cooler's flow. Like, he was able to get into that flow, and those defensive, the real elephant in the room during these matches was the defensive rockets, especially at the beginning. The defensive plays in general, where he knows that he's either trapping him or he's going to get chased, and every single rocket that k1llsen was firing was in, you know, those high digits territory, which Cooler can't really do anything about. The moment he had something that resembled an ounce of hope, here comes a direct rocket, and now your progress has to start all over again. And every single map followed the exact same process. And then when it came to Blood Run, I mean, you can't take the momentum away from this guy.
I think part of it is the fact that k1llsen was playing with a lead so early on in all of the maps. Cooler never really had a moment where he'd say, oh, I'm comfortable for a second, because he always had to work for that comeback.
Yeah, and maybe that was just like an unfortunate opening minute on 3 maps in a row, but we touched on it a little bit, and I still think that one of the most important skills that a Quake player needs to have is that level of adaptability, right? If your normal gameplay and strategy is not working, you sort of have to adjust, because the game and your opponent isn't going to adjust to you. And so I think you're right. It's going to be really interesting to see even what Cooler says about that matchup.
For sure.
And every single one of these maps, I was half expecting, I was kind of waiting for k1llsen to run into the usual kind of crazy luck he tends to at these tournaments. I was waiting for him to run out of ammo on 2 weapons before running right into a totem that kills him and costs him the game. That moment never came, and instead we got more things that were similar to the spawn frag run that we saw earlier in the tournament. So again, today has come at the tail of 3 days of round robins, 20 players playing 20 players, multiplied by, well, you can do the math.
I mean, look, what we do know now is that k1llsen has one hell of a target on his chest.
Oh, yeah.
But as champions have to do, it's not about just getting the championship, it's about maintaining it. It's about making sure that you can stay consistent. And because k1llsen's climb has been so high level, and even at this weekend he's played the best we have ever seen him play, it can only go up from there, you would think. I have no doubt he's going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah, and online, I've been keeping up with some of the comments. People are like, oh, I really like this sort of like boxing approach to it all. And just to like play off of that metaphor a little bit, like that was literally a knockout.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that didn't make it any less exciting. In fact, it makes like what is going to happen and the defense of that title, like you said, a really, really fantastic story all throughout this next year.
I really think that k1llsen's going to be the point of comparison now for everybody who's training in the arena. Everyone's going to say, okay, how am I doing up against k1llsen? How am I going to fare for this event? And that's going to be how you gauge your chances moving into the tournament.
Yeah.
And between North America and Europe, in the online events, we saw Rafa kind of, take what was a fantastic series in its own right. They're going to be meeting in these LAN events, very similar to this. Online, players will be filtering in, players will be filtering out. You're going to have to defend your rank. You're going to need to try to bump it up a bit, and it's going to be like clawing for victory. It's one thing to have bracket after bracket where it's like a fresh start every time. Now this is a sense of continuity that you have to maintain week in, week out. It's going to be grueling, and we get to watch all the blood spill.
I mean, what we are going to be able to see is just how high level the scene is going to become. The regular competition and the regular practice. It's not going to be about just scheduling practice matches before LANs. Now it's going to be you have high level matches every single week, and you're always competing for something. I think the level of this game's play is going to simply ascend further than we've ever seen it before.
And I hope that seeing something like what k1llsen did inspires people to say, you know what, I'm going to try this, right? And hey, don't expect to be k1llsen in your first couple of games, but find a friend, play around, and really understand why people love this game and love this competition so much.
I think that's one thing we take away from QuakeCon. It's play Quake. It's a good game. It's free. You have no reason. Everyone should play Quake. It's good fun. You got custom games for your mates. And if you want to go to the next level, I mean, QuakeCon, my dudes.
And there's been a resurgence of online tournaments, of community tournaments, of LANs all over the place, including QuakeCon. And speaking of QuakeCon, what better way to close off the event itself? This has been a stream-packed QuakeCon, probably one of the most stream-packed QuakeCons just by volume ever. We've had every player streaming from their PC over 3 days. I've seen people at bars with like 20 phones lined up with different POV on every single one. And amazingly, it worked for the most part. I mean, that's just technologically a feat by itself. I'm thinking back to QuakeCons in years past, and and the fires that would have to get put out, and things that just wouldn't go right at all. So you look at that and you're like, that's monumental, but it's a monumental feat, and it's going to be a monumental year.
It's been a good weekend for id. You know, not even here, the BYOCs where we had multiple different Quakes, Quake Live, Quake 2,
speedruns.
Doom, well, yeah, the Doom speedruns yesterday, Doom 2016, Clan Arena, and the free-for-all. Like, if you're a passionate fan of id games in any capacity, this QuakeCon has been out of this world. And on a very, very personal note, thank every single one of you for watching, whether it's at home, whether it's here. It's been one hell of a weekend, and it really isn't possible without the people involved. The people behind the scenes. I want to give a round of applause for the production teams for making this possible. This has been one hell of a technological feat for these guys, and they knocked it out of the park.
And on a personal note, QuakeCon has over the years become a bigger and bigger nexus for communities to gather, from Doom 2, Quake World, Quake 2, anything and everything that's an id Software game. All the little groups have been showing up, kind of trickling in. A lot of that was kind of heralded by the 2013 Doom 2 tournament and the 2016 Quake World tournament. And a lot of those people have come back. They've brought friends, they've brought other community members, and it's grown from there. We had BYOC tournaments. Everybody's starting to expect this to become a regular thing. It's not for me to say, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo, you know, one of my favorite moments, aside from all the great Quake this weekend, is walking through the BYOC and running into Pete Hines, who had a BYOC spot and was playing games with everyone else. It just shows the dedication that this company has, not only to the community, but also to the games they make. It's just really awesome to see.
Feels like an extended family every time I come here. It's not just Quake ascending, QuakeCon is ascending constantly.
Absolutely, and it's going to keep on growing. Guys, this has been a grueling QuakeCon for myself personally. Ketchup, I know you've been doing a lot of speed runs. And that's a show, by the way, that I missed, but I know I want to go and check out.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's I never really thought I'd get the opportunity to work with Doom much in any capacity. Doom is one of my absolute favorite games, you know. My three favorite games, right? Mortal Kombat, Doom, and Quake. Somehow I get to work with all three. What the hell's going on? But yeah, the day of Doom yesterday was fantastic, and today has just been excellent.
Well,
really fantastic.
What a time to be alive, and thank you again to Alienware for making a lot of this possible. Thank you to everybody at QuakeCon for making this possible. Thank you to Ketchup, to Zoot, to DJ Wheat. Somewhere in a couch back there, we've got 40 Lions probably passed out. I'm going to try to go do something similar here very, very soon. So everybody, have a great year, and I'm sure it'll fly by. We'll see you in 2020.